So the title of today's training is Chemistry Disciplinary Day, and this is part of the science training, but with a specific focus on chemistry. So there'll be a follow-up with a biology day and physics day, but this day was specifically for the chemistry trainees to delve a bit deeper into teaching chemistry. The curriculum areas covered were firstly evidence-informed. So we looked at the powerful ideas of chemistry and what these are. So that's Jasper Green's work. It was substantive and disciplinary because we were looking specifically at chemistry and how to teach it. But we also looked at how to deliver practicals, some of the knowledge underpinning practicals, how we can, how we would introduce the practical, what are the key points that we need students to take away, and how we could take that practical further. So how might you extend a more able group, or how might you scaffold a lower ability group? Evaluative lesson planning. So trainees were able to work through the practicals and think about how they would apply them in their schools. So what would be the best way to introduce this practical to the students that they teach? What would be the questions that they need to ask? How would this work in their lab? Could they visualize setting up this equipment in their own lab space? And there was also behaviour and climate for learning, because practical work can be dangerous. It's important that we know the health and safety aspects, that we think about how we're organising our room, how we're organising ourselves. It's important that we embed routines into what we're doing, so that students are safe, but also that they're able to maximise learning from practical experiments, so they're maximising that lesson time. And finally, a little bit about how pupils learn as well. So cognitive load is a real problem in practical, and it can be very overwhelming for students to be handed equipment that they don't recognise, asked to follow a series of instructions that may have just been given verbally. Later in the day, we also had Esther, who's our scientist in residence. So she was there to add hinterland, basically, to the trainees' experience, as well as some academic research as well. So she talked to us firstly about green chemistry, which was really fascinating, and allowed trainees to think about the impact of practical work, of science in real life on the environment, which is something that we don't always cover. We talk about sustainability, and I think the message that came back from the trainees is that they just assumed that scientific practice was sustainable. But Esther highlighting the amount of plastic that's used and how that doesn't go away, it's just lots of single-use plastic, was really interesting, and again allowed the trainees to develop their hinterland and think how they can use this information when teaching students. She then talked about her own PhD research, which is all on enzymes breaking down plastics, so again fit into that green chemistry narrative. And again, lots and lots of information that trainees could take and add to A-level chemistry. So when they're thinking about the reactions of polymers, how we break them down using acid or base hydrolysis, but how using enzymes could be another way that we can break those polyesters down into their constituent monomers. And also to think about how it would fit into GCSE chemistry. So it would fit into the organic chemistry module. It would also fit into sustainability and life cycle assessments, reducing the impact of chemicals on the world. So a lot of really interesting information that added, like I said, to this trainees' hinterland, so they can take that and add it to their stories, add it to their narrative, add it to the information in the lesson that isn't your core knowledge, but that is really important to build that picture and to develop students' understanding and students' learning.